Peppa Pig, Grandpa Pig to the rescue. Grandpa Pig is taking Peppa and George for a ride on his little train, Gertrude. Gertrude has rubber wheels so we don't have to go on train tracks, says Grandpa Pig.
Wow!
I love Gertrude, says Peppa. Miss Rabbit is in her big train, taking the grown-ups to work. Morning, Grandpa Pig, calls Miss Rabbit. Out on your toy train again. Gertrude is not a toy. She is a miniature locomotive, says Grandpa Pig. The big train is going very fast. It can go much faster than Gertrude. Oh no, the big train has broken down. Gertrude catches up with Miss Rabbit's big train. You need to get yourself a train that doesn't break down like Gertrude, says Grandpa Pig. That's a good idea, says Miss Rabbit. I'm borrowing your little train. All change, calls Mr. Rabbit. All the passengers climb into Gertrude and Grandpa Pig is left behind. Oh no! Mrs. Cow is waiting for the train at the next station. Has the train shrunk? Asked Mrs. Cow. No, this is a toy train, says Miss Rabbit. Gertrude is not a toy train. She is a miniature locomotive, says Peppa. There's a traffic jam on the road, so Miss Rabbit takes a shortcut.
Bonk, bonk.
Hello, ducks, calls Peppa as they ride past the duck pond. Gertrude might not be very fast, but at least she can ride on the grass. Gertrude crawls up the very steep hill.
Wow!
You can make it, cheer the passengers. Gertrude reaches the top of the hill very slowly. By the time she reaches the last station, it will be time for everyone to go home again. Back down the line, Grandpa Pig is trying to mend the big train. Grandpa Pig loves mending things. So many interesting bits and bobs, says Grandpa Pig, but can he put them back together again? Finally, Gertrude reaches the station, and so does Grandpa Pig with the big train. You've mended it, says Peppa. All change, calls Mr. Rabbit. Everyone gets in the big train ready to go home. Off we go, says Miss Rabbit. Stop, cries Peppa. What about Gertrude? We can't leave her behind. Don't worry, we can take the toy train as well, says Miss Rabbit. She uses a crane to hoist Gertrude into the big train.
Wow!
Gertrude is not a toy, says Grandpa Pig. We know, says Miss Rabbit. She is a miniature locomotive. Miss Rabbit drives all the passengers and Gertrude home.
Hooray!
Everyone agrees that Gertrude is the best miniature locomotive in the whole world. Gertrude is the best train in the whole world, says Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig, Grandpa Pig's Lawnmower. Peppa and George are playing in the garden with their ball. Come on, George, says Peppa, throwing the ball up into the air. The ball lands in some long grass. Peppa and George go to find it. Peppa and George are having lots of fun. But where is the ball?
The grass is too long, says Peppa. We'll never find it.
Mummy Pig decides that it's time to cut the grass. We've let the garden get out of control, she says. Daddy Pig wheels out the lawnmower. It's a bit old and rusty, says Mummy Pig. Nonsense, says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig goes to push the lawnmower through the long grass, but it falls apart. Perhaps it's time to phone Grandpa Pig for help, says Mummy Pig. Grandpa Pig drives his motor mower over to Peppa's house.
This is a job for Betsy,
says Grandpa Pig. Betsy is the name of Grandpa Pig's motor lawnmower.
Wow!
Betsy doesn't go very fast. They are slowing down the traffic. Grandpa Pig toots Betsy's horn proudly. Finally, Grandpa Pig arrives.
Hooray!
He drives Betsy into Peppa's garden.
Hello, everyone. I hear there's some grass that needs cutting,
says Grandpa Pig.
Hello, Betsy,
says Peppa.
Grandpa, can we ride on Betsy?
Of course, says Grandpa Pig. Hop aboard.
Hooray!
Peppa and George climb up onto the motor mower next to Grandpa Pig. Hold tight, says Grandpa Pig. Together they drive into the long grass. Whoosh! Grandpa Pig is having lots of fun. Betsy is very good at cutting grass. Peppa and George are enjoying their ride.
Grandpa, you've missed a bit,
says Peppa.
Good spot, Peppa.
What's that over there? Says Grandpa Pig.
Our ball!
Cheers Peppa.
Hooray!
There you go, says Grandpa Pig. Cutting grass is easy with Betsy. Thank you for cutting our grass, Grandpa Pig, says Daddy Pig.
And thank you for finding our ball, Grandpa,
says Peppa. The end. Grandpa Pig's boat. Grandpa Pig is taking Peppa and George out for a day on the river. I'm the captain of this boat, says Grandpa Pig. Granny Pig, Peppa and George all salute Grandpa Pig. Aye, aye, Captain, they cry.
When I tell you to do something, you must do it,
says Grandpa Pig.
Unless it's something silly,
Granny Pig tells Peppa and George. Grandpa Pig frowns.
The captain never says anything silly.
Of course not, Captain, says Granny Pig, saluting. Everyone does what Grandpa Pig says.
Wow!
He asks George to raise the flag and Granny Pig to take the wheel. Then Grandpa Pig tells Peppa to ring the bell. Off they go. The boats speed through the water. Granny Pig thinks they should go a bit slower.
Good idea, Granny Pig,
says Grandpa Pig.
I don't want to use up all my petrol.
Peppa spots another boat. It's Grandad Dog. He's taking Danny Dog out for a day on the river. Grandad Dog is Grandpa Pig's very best friend.
Oh, I'm surprised your boat is still afloat, Grandad Dog. It must be almost as old as you are, says Grandpa Pig. Oh, this old boat can go faster than your rusty bucket any day, replies Grandad Dog.
Grandpa Pig is not happy. He calls Grandad Dog a sea dog. Grandad Dog calls Grandpa Pig a water hog.
You are both acting like little children, cries Granny Pig.
Peppa and George think this is funny. Grandpa Pig won't say sorry. Grandad Dog won't say sorry. They decide to race instead. Grandad Dog zooms off.
Catch me if you can, water hog,
says Grandad Dog. Grandpa Pig is not happy.
Sea dog,
shouts Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig overtakes Grandad Dog and leaves him far behind.
Can't catch me, ha 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 ha,
says Grandpa Pig. I win.
Oh no, my boat has run out of petrol, cries Grandpa Pig. Maybe I did go a bit too fast. Maybe Grandad Dog can tow us home, suggests Granny Pig. I don't want him to, says Grandpa Pig. Will you two ever grow up?
says Granny Pig.
Grandpa, say sorry to Grandad Dog, says Peppa. Grandad, say sorry to Grandpa Pig,
says Danny. Finally, they both say sorry. Grandad Dog is Grandpa Pig's very best friend. Grandad Dog tows Grandpa Pig's boat home.
The main thing is I won the race,
Grandpa Pig says to Peppa.
Grandpa Pig,
cries Granny Pig. Silly Grandpa Pig. The end. Peppa Pig, Grandpa Pig's greenhouse. Peppa and George are at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. They race across the garden to find Grandpa Pig.
Hello, Grandpa,
shouts Peppa. George has found a ball and is playing with it.
Careful, George, my greenhouse is made out of glass, which breaks easily,
says Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig throws the ball out of harm's way. The ball goes over the fence and lands in Grandad Dog's garden.
Oi! Who's throwing footballs at my greenhouse?
Grandad Dog calls over the fence. Grandpa Pig goes to speak to Grandad Dog.
Call that a greenhouse? It's a pile of rotten old windows,
says Grandpa Pig.
It'll grow more than you do with your fancy grass box,
replies Grandad Dog. Grandpa Pig decides to leave Grandad Dog to his gardening.
Could I have some tomatoes, please, Grandpa Pig?
asks Granny Pig.
I'm afraid the tomatoes aren't ready yet, says Grandpa Pig. Maybe Grandad Dog will lend us some of his, suggests Granny Pig. Grandad Dog,
calls Granny Pig.
Do you have any tomatoes we could borrow? Borrow? You can take as many as you like,
says Grandad Dog.
Hooray!
Everyone goes into Grandad Dog's greenhouse. They're a lot bigger than your tomatoes, Grandpa, says Peppa. They may be bigger, but that doesn't mean they are better, replies Grandpa Pig. Yummy. This is the best tomato I have tasted ever, says Peppa, tasting one. Says Grandpa Pig. Now Granny Pig has a basket full of delicious tomatoes. We're going to make a tomato salad, says Granny Pig. Grandad Dog tells her about his special tomato and basil salad recipe. The problem is I don't have any basil, says Grandad Dog. My grandpa had lots of lovely basil, says Peppa. Grandpa Pig shows them the basil he has grown in his greenhouse.
Wow!
Very impressive, says Grandad Dog. Peppa and George are feeling hungry now. Is it lunchtime yet? asks Peppa. It's time to make the salad. First we slice up the tomatoes, says Grandad Dog. Then we use a little splash of olive oil. Don't forget to add these lovely basil leaves, says Grandpa Pig. Time to tuck in, everyone, says Grandad Dog. Grandad Dog's tomatoes are marvellous and Grandpa Pig's basil leaves are beautiful. This is the best tomato salad in the world ever, cheers Peppa. The end. Granny and Grandpa Pig's attic. Peppa and George are at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. Hello, my little ones, calls Granny Pig. Why is Granny on the roof? asks Peppa. We're tidying the attic, says Grandpa Pig. The attic is where old things are kept. Granny and Grandpa Pig's attic is at the very top of the house. The door to the attic is in the ceiling.
Wow!
How do we get up there? asked Peppa. You climb up a ladder, Peppa. I'll send it down, says Granny Pig. The attic is dark and dusty. Granny, there are boxes everywhere, cries Peppa. They're full of old junk, says Granny Pig. Peppa and George are here to help us throw some things out, says Grandpa Pig. How about this box, says Granny Pig, pulling out a ship in a bottle. Then she pulls out another ship in a bottle. The box is full of ships in bottles. No, cries Grandpa Pig. I need them all. Well, we have to throw something out, says Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig finds a box of hats. Not my hats, says Granny Pig. They can't decide what to throw out. I know, says Granny Pig. We'll let Peppa and George decide. Peppa spots something on the floor. Let's throw away this old case, she says. Not that one, cried Granny and Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig opens the case and shows Peppa and George what's inside. It's a record player, says Grandpa Pig.
Wow.
Record players are used to play music, explains Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig puts a record on and music starts to play. Come on, Peppa, George, let's dance, says Grandpa Pig. Dancing in the attic is fun, cries Peppa. When When Mummy Pig arrives to pick up Peppa and George, she looks around but can't find anyone. Then she hears noise coming from the top of the house. Mummy Pig climbs the ladder. "There you all are," she cries. "Mummy, look at this record player," says Peppa. "I used to play this record when I was little," says Mummy Pig. "It's called Birdie Birdie Woof Woof. I thought it had been thrown out ages ago." Everyone sings along with the record. The birds go woof, the dogs go tweet, woof tweet, woof tweet, woof woof woof. The sheep go moo and the cows go ba, moo ba moo ba moo moo moo. Birdie Birdie Woof Woof is a very funny song. "That was fun," says Grandpa Pig, "but we were supposed to be finding things to throw out." "You should keep everything," decides Peppa. Everyone agrees that that's a very good idea. The end. Peppa Pig, My Grandpa. My name is Peppa, and this book is all about my grandpa. He is the best grandpa in the whole wide world, and the most fun. My grandpa is a brilliant sailor. He says George and I are his favourite shipmates. My grandpa grows delicious things in his garden that we like to eat. But so do Granny's chickens. My grandpa has lots of books that help him mend anything. Even computers. My grandpa is so clever. He's even built a train called Gertrude.
Wow.
George and I love going for rides in it. Choo-choo! My grandpa is great at singing and dancing to silly songs. The birds go woof and the dogs go tweet. Woof, woof, tweet. My grandpa likes to tell us jokes and his bedtime stories are the best. My grandpa is always ready to play. After a little nap. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.